Hi, folks. Uh, Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, when and wherever you are. Okay. Today, as you could see by the description of the video, I'm going to be addressing at least this lighting is a bit terrible. Sorry. I'm going to be addressing a couple of news that I saw that I think that are very relevant. Okay. We are going to go through the pieces, talk a bit about it. All right. And we are just going to try to make sense out of it because it's completely bonkers. Okay, so without further ado, let's get into it. Now, the first news I have here, it's available in Euronews, as you can see, it's right here. You can click it, you can go there and watch it. If you are an American and you want to have a non-biased vision of the world, I would advise you to take a look at Uranus because they provide a lot of important information that I think everyone should read at least once a month. Now, government shutdown. The US Army tells soldiers in Germany to go to the food bank. Okay? This is a real thing. It really happened. I don't know if it's still happening. Oh, sorry. My kitty decided to make her presence known. Sorry. A minute. Oh, God. Now, if you hear any, sorry, let me just focus back on me. If you hear any crunching, I'm sorry. Is she just eating her biscuits? Okay, now let's continue. US soldiers in Germany may not receive November pay amid the prolonged US government shutdown. Emergency funds covered October's salaries, but future payments are uncertain. Okay, this is very, this is very troublesome, not to say the least, and well, let's just read the piece, and then in the end, we will talk a bit about it, okay? Because I think this is important, and I think everyone should really read this, okay? Uh, Approximately 37,000 U.S. soldiers stationed in Germany face uncertainty over November salary payments as the United States enters its longest ever government shutdown, with the Pentagon warning troops may not receive mid-month wages despite last-minute funding for October. This is that amount of money that Mr. Trump took from the science budget to pay for salaries for the military. Okay. U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent told CBS News that as of 15 November, our servicemen and women who are willing to risk their lives will no longer be able to receive pay if the budget impasse between Democrats and Republicans continues. And we all know who's to blame: the Republicans, because they want to pass uh, a blank. Let me just focus back on me because this is also very important. You have to understand this, okay? I keep seeing in the news, especially Fox News, of course, they are trying to turn the tables and say it's the Democrats' fault that the budget is not passing. When in fact, all I heard the Democrats say is this: they will not vote in a budget that will cut things from people, from veterans, from people that need it the most, just so that Mr. Trump can have his comfy budget. Okay, and also remember this: they are also doing this government shutdown because they know they will not be able to outvote the people, including some Republicans, that want to see the Epstein files revealed. Okay, so when you are, imagine this: imagine you are looking at me and you saying, this guy is just some bloody lefty or whatever, okay, or Democrat supporter, you know. Think about this: who is benefiting from this situation and who is not? Look, this is as simple as this. Look, my dad, he always taught me this. You know, when you want to see who's pulling the strings, okay, See this. See who you can. Sorry, but my dad was a really smart guy. Okay. See who is pulling the strings and see who it benefits. Well, the Epstein files are not revealed. They are still in power. Okay. They continue to make money, including the big companies. They are still making money. A lot of money. Okay. Mr. Trump and his family continue to make money. The people that are around him continue to make money. And yet, Americans are suffering, including the military. Okay. Let's continue. Now, uh, the US Army published guidance on its website directing soldiers in Germany to emergency social benefits, loans, food banks, and food sharing organizations where volunteers provide leftover food through public fridges. If you don't know what this is, this also exists here in Portugal. Uh, there are mechanisms through which restaurants, supermarkets, they can channel the food that is still eatable, meaning it's still proper for you to eat, to use, okay? Although it might not, okay, you might have, for example, the fruit that is past is due, it's a bit more ripe or something like that. You understand what I'm trying to say? Or excess food that was produced but they could not sell it. And you can channel all of that food. In fact, I don't know how the law it is right now, but for example, I know they are banned from doing things like, for example, putting bleach or some shit like that in the dumpsters where they deposit the food so that homeless people can not go into those dumpsters and eat. Many restaurants here, and I have seen it personally, because we don't have such a homeless problem like the United States has, but we have it. Okay, every country has that. I'm sorry, I don't like to see it either. It also breaks my fucking heart to see it, but it happens. And I what I've seen is restaurants, for example, at the predetermined when they are in their closing times. Okay, they just open the back door or something like that. You don't want to humiliate people, okay? And they give the food to whoever needs it. Okay? And some of that food also goes into the food banks that provide meals, that provide food bags. Okay, meaning it goes into a distribution center, and then that food is minimally packaged and then distributed between amongst families and individual people that might need food assistance and that ask it for from the social services or from the church. The church here also provides a lot of services, and they don't care if you are Christian, if you are Muslim, if you are an atheist, if you are a Jew. No one cares about it. Okay, when the church is feeding, it's a church to feed the world, as we say. Okay, but and what this guy is telling them is saying to go to the these local services that also exist in Germany. Let me just have a sip of my coffee. He's telling them to go to these services and ask for food assistance. And it's not just the soldiers, okay? It's the families too. So Americans, your soldiers that are defending your flag, that are representing your country, and people that lead them, that are in government right now. So the supreme chief of the armed forces is telling them to go to food banks. Meditate on that. And even if you are a MAGA, like I was saying from the beginning, even if you don't like me, even if you consider me some kind of lefty, whatever that means, think about that. Now, let's continue. As I was saying, the US Army published guidance in the website directing soldiers in Germany to emergency social benefits, loans, food banks, and food sharing organizations where volunteers provide leftover food through public fridges. German social benefits remain largely unavailable to US troops, meaning that the soldiers will invariably be left to their own devices. Very serious. Labor law expert Michael Fulroth said citizens' allowance is legally impossible for soldiers, usually only in Germany temporarily, while NATO regulations prevent German social security provisions applying to foreign troops to avoid double benefits. Limited German support exists for parental allowance or child benefits in certain cases, Fulroth noted. The Finance Ministry intervened for approximately 12,000 civilian employees at US military bases, providing 43 million for workers in logistics, catering, supplies, and security, as reported by Euronews. The payment represents a loan the United States must repay once the budget freeze lifts. Now, what does this mean? Uh, Portugal also has an American military base here in the Azores Island, the largest base. It's a Portuguese base that is used partially by American forces, mm, mainly in transit over the Atlantic into Europe. All this means is this. Officially, the German authorities cannot help these soldiers, meaning they are left to their own devices. What does this mean? This means, for example, for an American soldier to uh, get an odd job or something like that, to get some euros to buy some food. This means an American soldier having to go to a church or to a religious organization or a non-official organization, like for example any kind of social institution in Germany, private, that provides food and shelter to homeless people, to get a meal. This means creating situations such as soldiers, perhaps driven by hunger. And I'm not kidding, okay? If you don't know what hunger is, I partially know it, okay? As I said in the past, I have no shame in saying this. I went a lot of days just with some tin food or something like that, or maybe a cup of coffee and a sandwich in the morning and a soup for the entire day. It happens to everyone. It happened to me. It can happen to you. It's no shame. It's life. If you are living an honest life, if you are not stealing, if you are not killing anyone, you will go through periods in your life where you will have more or have less or have nothing. Okay? But this is placing an unbelievable pressure over American soldiers, over people, and I have family. Okay, my father, all of my uncles, they were in the Portuguese colonial war. They were soldiers, special ops, almost all of them. And my father never talked much about it, but my uncle did. And soldiers, even if they are, as you say, just sitting in a chair somewhere in Germany, they are performing a duty. Okay, unlike what most Americans think, most of the NATO bases they are manned by NATO troops. This means Germans, French, Turkish, Portuguese, French, Spanish, British. Okay, everyone mans that situation. Okay, so for example, we'll have situations like two Portuguese fire jets last year repealing an invasion in the airspace of Norway, for example. Norway, I think it was Norway or Finland, I don't really recall it, okay? and vice versa. You will have, for example, a German U-boat revealing the entry of a Russian boat into Portuguese waters. You have a lot of these types of things because we work as a collective. And the United States, up until now, it hasn't needed it, but it can need it. It can happen in the future. Okay, the United States is not impregnable. Okay, you can enter in the United States. The United States can be invaded. The United States can be heavily damaged. And this is the type of relationship that Mr. Trump and his policies. I'm not talking about the man. I have given up on trying to speak about the character of a person that has demonstrated to us all what his character is. Okay, so I will just address the facts and make my comments that will come undoubtedly, but I won't go into it. But you have your soldiers, the representatives of your flag, of your constitution, as you probably say, as of your American way of life, as you call it, whatever you want to call it, okay, of your country, and they are being treated like beggars. And if I was in the place of these soldiers, to be honest, I would look into giving up my American citizenship and going some other immigrate to some other country. Take my family, take everyone with me, just get out of the United States. With the expertise that I would have, I would go somewhere else. No matter how old or how young I would be. I would just leave it. I could not care less. Because in the latter days of the Roman Empire, writers wrote about it. Okay, we have reports, we have direct accounts of what happened during those days. And in the last days of the Western, and I'm talking about the Western Roman Empire, because if you don't know this, Byzantium continued to exist up until I think 1453, when the Ottomans took over Constantinople, today Istanbul. Okay, but in the Western Empire, when the empire was completely decaying, completely crumbling, Roman citizens used to renounce their Roman citizenship and seek shelter amongst the the barbarian kingdoms. There were already proto kingdoms forming. Okay, areas completely under the control of barbarian troops, completely in this case Germanized. Okay, how you say it? They were German tribes. Okay, Germanic. Sorry, let me be clear. And they used to go because they found in the barbarians the humane and, honorable treatment that they could not find in the Roman state itself. Some of them would rather be held as hostages, meaning uh, their family would pay the barbarians an amount to keep them alive, or to keep them fed and whatever, and we would prefer to live in that situation of semi-captivity because they could work for the barbarians. Okay, they could do a lot of things, even being hostages. It's a different notion of what we have of hostages today. Uh, they would prefer that instead of being Roman citizens, because Rome meant nothing to them. It was nothing. It was unworthy of them. And I am very certain that a lot of these soldiers are feeling this. So, no money in November. US soldiers receive October salaries through emergency funding cobbled from multiple sources. 2.5 billion from summer tax cut legislation, 1.4 billion from military procurement accounts, and 1.4 billion, pardon me, from research and development, according to US media reports. An anonymous donor contributed 130 million specifically for soldiers' salaries and benefits, Pentagon chief spokesman Sean Parnell told CNN, with Trump reportedly receiving the donation from a friend. And if it does not worry you that the president is receiving $130 million from a friend to pay off the military staff, I don't know what will. Uh, the funding proves critical as fewer than 1 in 3 military families have savings of $3,000, according to Blue Star Families, an initiative funded by military personnel. Republican Senate Majority Leader John Thune expressed optimism that senators will agree on a budget by week's end, potentially ending the shutdown that began October the 1st. The shutdown forces civil servants into unpaid leave, while military personnel await resolution of the congressional budget standoff. Unlike Germany's monthly payment system, US service members receive wages fortnightly, intensifying cash flow pressures during payment gaps. Now, just before we end this piece, let me just conclude a part that I forgot when we were talking about the social salaries. Now, the personnel here, for example, in our base, in the largest, or the bases in Germany, in Ramstein, and other places, okay, the personnel, right now, the government is replacing the American state paying those salaries. Okay, these are people that work in logistics, that work in catering food for the troops, in all of those services that a military base, civilian services that a military base requires to function properly. So the base is still functioning properly. Okay, but if they are not being paid, then the states or NATO in this case are paying for those services, are paying for those workers, for those people that take care of the planes, take care of the clean up the base, all of that, okay, and even simple services like, for example, services like water, like power, okay, sewer, sewage, all of that, okay, that is all paid from by the American base, so to speak, the NATO base, to the local government, in this case Germany. And the government now, the local governments, are paying for it. And then they are going to present the bill. And you, American taxpayer, you are going to have to pay for all of those services that are being provided to your soldiers. Okay? And if you don't pay, there will be consequences. And this is putting even more pressure over these NATO facilities that, for example, if you don't know this, you should know. European leaders and politicians around here are saying that uh, all of these American bases have to go away. They have to be replaced by European NATO members. Okay, so for example, instead of having the 30,000 American troops, you will have 30,000 NATO troops, European troops. Okay, completely replace the American element in NATO because, as you can see, rightfully, they cannot trust them. Imagine if a war starts right now. A country activates the NATO protection system because of Russia. Okay, we have Russia right next, right here, killing, raping, burning Ukraine. Imagine that. Do you see our worry? The trust is completely being destroyed by the single actions of your government. Your government is endangering the future of you and of your family. Do you think Hitler would have stopped after he conquered whatever he wanted to conquer in Europe? Do you think he would not go across the sea and invade you? Do you really think that? Or do you wish he had done it? Because I know some of you wish he had done it because you think the life under jackpot would be very good. Really? You really think that? Well, my friends, we wouldn't be here in online talking and saying our piece. Hmm? Good coffee. You would not be able, for example, to say the shit you say online. To go into my comment sections talking shit, trying to offend me, which I think, look, which I will tell you from the get go, it's completely useless. No, I'm 50. My life, I have gone through shit you wouldn't imagine. I have a very hard shell, and to tell you the truth, the absolute truth, and you can use it against me if you want to, there are only two things that really annoy me: stupidity, not ignorance. To be ignorant just means that you don't know something. Okay? It does not mean you cannot learn, understand, and stop acting ignorant. I mean stupidity. Stupidity is people that understand that what they are saying or doing is incorrect, and yet they think they are right and the rest of the world is wrong. Like those idiots flat earthers, for example. Well, the only things that really annoy me are stupidity that is associated with pettiness, with selfishness, with evil, if you want to call it like that. Okay, and petty violence against weaker people, and weaker in the sense of weak, of dependent, like children, okay, like women, any kind of violence, be it sexual violence, be it physical violence, be it psychological violence. I hate that. That that can really piss me off. But since YouTube, and in that case, I think YouTube is absolutely right to ban this type of behaviors, but YouTube bans it. So you cannot go around and insult people in that way without being reported, removed, or not even being able to publish your petty speeches. But if you want to go into my comment section and make a valid comment, even if you don't agree with me, I keep saying this, put it on. I will not remove it. I will. If you want to say you are wrong, it's the Democrats would one that want to blame because of this and that, and you provide me with proof, your comment will stay. Of course, other people in the comment sections they might call you out, but that is something you will have to accept. Because that is the nature of free speech, my friend. The nature of free speech is not saying every shit that comes up in your mind and offend people. No. Free speech means I can speak, I can think, I can give my opinion. And then you have to have the shell to be criticized. No one is 100% right. This is why in this Newswatch, I'm providing with links to the pieces. So you can go there, you can read them, and you can make up your own mind. All right? Now, after this little preach, a drop of coffee. These mugs are great. ceramic mugs made here in Portugal. They keep your coffee nice and warm. And there are some Chinese ones, also very good. Now, uh, on to the next piece. This is in the Hill. Okay, again, link will be provided. The government may not open again this year, thanks to Speaker Johnson, by Sheldon Jacobson, opinion contributors. 11th of May, or 5, I'm sorry, American dates confuse the hell out of me. The 5th of November. The government shutdown is now officially the longest on record, surpassing the previous record of 34 days that occurred during President Trump's first term in office. Well. That shutdown, which lasted from December the 25th, 22, 2018 through January of 25, 2019, ended with the president back down on his border war funding demands. It's becoming clearer that there are no obvious concessions available at this time that can lead to the government opening anytime soon. Speaker Michael Johnson, Republican, sent all House members home just before October the 1st, placing the chamber in recess. This strategy meant that the only way for the government to avoid being shut down was for the Senate to garner the 60 votes needed to approve the clean continue resolution passed by the House. Once the government shut down, the Senate was forced to vote on the resolution, with the House in recess and unable to make any amendments. To date, the Senate has held more than a dozen votes, with each falling short of the requisite 60 votes. The continuing resolution is considered clean because it contains nothing more than an extension of existing government funding through November the 21st. Democrats are asking for changes that would extend subsidies associated with the Affordable Care Act, which were not included in Trump's one big beautiful fucking bill. Sorry. With November the 21st fast approaching, however, passing the current continuing resolution is becoming a moot point. If you don't know what this means it's becoming like a standstill. Even if it does pass, it would give the House little time to craft yet another resolution that would be needed to fund the government into 2026. Senate Democrats have sent a clear message of what they would expect in such continuing resolution, but there is no evidence it could pass the House. What's more, Johnson has a vested interest in keeping the government close and the House in recess. Since Inauguration Day, the Speaker has demonstrated an unwavering loyalty to appease the President's every desire, want, and wish. There are advantages for Trump having the House in permanent recess. Johnson can avoid seating recently elected Representative Adelita Grijalva, Arizona, with the House in recess and Grijalva not seated. The House cannot finalize the process leading to the Epstein files being released. Johnson has gone on the record that he will not block a vote on releasing the files on the late sexual predator Jeffrey Epstein. But such a statement is disingenuous and irrelevant, as Johnson knows. If there are 218 signatures on the discharge petition to release all files related to Epstein, Johnson cannot stop such a vote under the House rules. In the current environment, the Speaker's best hope is that some of the Republicans among the 280 signers will change their minds. If any one of them does so, the discharge petition will fall short of the required number of signatures. Ironically, the less risky alternative for him is for the government to remain shut down so that he can keep the House in recess. This effectively places the entire country in a state of limbo. Nice. Holding government workers and the American people hostage. This is called, you know what this is called? around here at least. This is called mob rules, you know, mob tactics, as in mafia, Cosa Nostra, you know. This means they are using criminal tactics against you, American people, and against the Democrats. Let's continue, because this one is important that everyone reads it. Johnson has made only one pathway available for the shutdown to end: for the Senate to approve the current continuing resolution, which appears highly unlikely. Well, it has been working wonderfully, right? His unspoken plan appears to be to keep the government shut down indefinitely. And because the Speaker so loyally defers to the President, this shifts all power of government to the executive branch, meaning Mr. Trump can do whatever the hell he wants, with no congressional checks or balances in place on the President's actions. The takeaway from the current situation is that this government shutdown is poised to be more than a transient event. It is already the longest in our nation's history, driven in large part by what may become the longest House recess on record. It has positioned our country for a transformation of how our government functions and where the seat of power lies. What is certain is that this power no longer rests with the people. Sheldon H. Jacobson, thank you very much. I will link this in the description, and again, I'm not being monetized. I'm not earning money from Mr. Jacobson's work. I'm just using his knowledge to explain things to people. Okay? You cannot, I don't know how things work in the United States, but at least even around here, budgets are discussed. And in my view, it's better to have non-absolute majority government, meaning absolute control, because this forces politicians to discuss all aspects of a bill, for example. It forces politicians to discuss the positions of everyone, because you have a different system, but around here we have PR, proportional representation. This means whoever sits on our Republican Assembly, because we are a republic, unlike whatever Republican means in the United States, which is something completely different, but we are a Republican state. Okay, we call ourselves a democracy, but Portugal is a republic. It functions as a republic, meaning the citizens vote for parties, and that amount of votes is equal to the number of deputies or MPs or representatives, whatever we want to call them. We call them deputados in Portuguese. In English, that translates directly to deputies in an assembly, a parliament. Okay, and for example, X amount of votes. There is a fixed number of deputies, and percentages are given to the parties that earn the most votes. This means every vote counts. Even a blank vote counts. Every vote counts. Your will as a citizen matters. If you vote in a determined party, if everyone votes for that party, if no one wants to vote for that party except you and a couple of people, it still counts. And in my position, and this is something, for example, Americans or British, sometimes don't understand. Whenever there is this type of things, like what happened in France, for example, or what happened here, that the government fell, our states continue to work. Public employees continue to be receiving their pay. Military staff continues to receive their pay, services continue to function, social services, healthcare, everything. Everything continues to function. Because we do not see the state, they are not there to rule us. They are there to govern us, to be governed. This means that if they are not there, the state has to continue to work. And this is something you don't understand. And this is something you could have. If you had a similar system to what we have, and it's not that complicated, it's even much more democratic than the system that you have, because you are electing representatives per state. And I understand that because you are a federal state, okay? I understand how the American system works, just as I understand how the system in the United Kingdom functions, okay? Because before I talk about something, I need to know it, because I'm not sitting here spilling out some shit, okay? Even even like that, even like that, you could have more than one party. Just what we do here, a party, in order to be a party, it has to have a predetermined number of signatures, meaning you get the signatures to create a political party, and you can create it. And we also have something that you don't have. Parties here cannot receive donations. Donations here, you can give your time. Right now, I'm not in any political movement or anything like that for different reasons that I don't want to talk about here. But around here, you give your time to the party. And then the party, it receives a stipend from the state itself, all political parties. And in the pardon me, in the building of the that is manned by public workers, public employees, they can have an office to do their job, okay? But donations here are bribes. And I want you to understand this. A political party can say what type of ideas it is supporting. For example, it can be uh, an extremely zealot Christian party that defends no to abortion, no to this, no to that, okay? They can publicly say that. In fact, they have to say that. Here, they have to have their positions clear in order for the public to know who they are voting for. Do you understand this little difference? And it's not just here. It's in France. It's in Spain. It's in Germany. It's in almost all of Europe. The only place where you have a similar system, and even so, it's not as imperfect, sorry, as the system in United States is United Kingdom, which is also a representation democratic system. Okay, but even in the United Kingdom, it's not as massive as yours. All of this gerrymandering could not exist in a system like, for example, our continental European system, and I think it could not even exist in a system like the British. And instead of you discussing all of this and having to go through things like, for example, doing the gerrymandering in order to prevent the Republicans from basically, with less votes, control a parliament, a Congress, sorry, you could have a system that is absolutely clean. And is it perfect? No. but it's the most perfect we can get. Then you have to have laws. You have to have fail safes. Around here, for example, it's in the Constitution that we have banned all kind of fascist or authoritarian regimes. Meaning, if some guy proclaims he's defending this type of ideas, that party cannot exist. Plain and simple. And in case all fails, the army, the army has a duty to establish republican democratic order. And Germany has the same. Germany also has an item in their constitution that bans all type of all kind of fascist parties. This is why the bodies of Mr. Musk, the AfD or ADF, whatever the fuck they call themselves, I hate them because they come from the same region where my family comes from, Russia, or what is left of Russia, okay, East Germany. Hmm? Not all of that, okay. Let's not get into geography. I'm not talking about all of it. But this is why that party is currently being illegalized. Because that cannot exist under the constitution of the German Bundesrepublik. That cannot exist. It's the only way you have to stop these things, okay, is to simply ban this. Okay, and you want to ban extreme left, ban it. Here around here, it's technically also banned. And you can have the same thing. You can have the same things. And you wouldn't be listening to these people in this shit. For God's sake, public employees are going to work, and some areas are already failing in the airports, in the military. Remember this, okay? Without being paid. If you are, for example, like many of you say you are Christian, then you tell me what is the ethics and the morality of having someone work for nothing. You know what that is called? Slavery, servitude. And you keep on blaming the Democrats. You keep on blaming the Democrats, okay, instead of blaming the Republicans and Mr. Trump. It is them you have to blame. All the Democrats are saying is this big fucking weird bill, it's starving Americans. It's taking away medical aid to Americans, to veterans, to the people that fought for you. And they are saying, you want us to approve budget from the government? Okay, the budget can be approved, but you are going to have to do this and that. And this is what is called democracy, hearing all the voices. And if they were honorable and ethical people, they would be able to understand their error, their mistake, and correct it. Everyone can make a blunder. Everyone can make a mistake. The way you react to it is the key here. I keep quoting Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor, philosopher also. But it never left my mind ever since I was a kid. A mistake is only a mistake when you fail to understand it is a mistake, even if only to yourself, and you seek to correct it and not repeat it. Basically, it's this. I'm sorry I'm doing the direct Latin translation, but it's basically this that I said, meaning everyone commits a mistake. Everyone has a fit of anger. The way you deal with that emotion, that is no. Uh, Even the Buddhist teachings teach you that. Even Christianity, in the most more theological aspect teaches you this. It's not the emotion that you have that is the problem. The emotion is natural. Now, the way you react to it, that is solely your choice. Now, this new watch has gone uh, long enough, I think. I'm going to do another episode with a couple of more news. My kitty, she's here, and I'm going to try to publish as soon as I can. I have not have been having a lot of time during the week, a lot of things going on in my life, in my work life also. But I hope I hope that this has helped you to understand a couple of aspects of these news, of the government shutdown, okay, of the situation that is happening to your military, which is, pardon me, which is absolutely disgusting. And even if next week they solve it, the fact that it happened, it gives away an aspect of weakness of your state. Okay, this doesn't just shame the Americans. This gives you the look of a failing state, of a decaying state. And if you don't, and if this budget situation is not solved, things are only going to get worse. I'm sorry. Sorry for being a bit doom and gloom, but how can anyone be optimistic when they see things like this? Militaries not being paid and told by their superior officers, go to the food banks. What is this shit? You don't feed your own troops. You don't feed the people that are there representing you. Remember this: the Congress folks, your congressman, your congresswoman, they are still being paid. The president being paid, his staff being paid, everyone is being paid, except those, that do the jobs you need. The people that keep your airplanes flying, the people that keeps your state functioning. And you should you should take a long hard look, at this and do what my dad told me. See who is getting benefit by this shit. Who is being paid? Okay? Who is doing whatever the hell they want? And then consider to yourself, if you are a mega, are you going to continue to support these people? Do you think they will stop at the brown people? Do you think they won't go after you? Really? Take a look at the story of the German High. See what they did after they got the Jewish situation solved. See what happened to the homeless, to the gay, to the people of those religious confessions, even if Christian, that did not go along with their ideology. See what happened to the Prussian officials, some of them that were Catholic. My family was Catholic. They were Prussian. And a lot of them were in the military. See what happened to them. Go and see. Go and read. Go and inform yourself. Okay? Don't just doom scroll on TikTok and on X and in YouTube. Go and get yourself some nice education. And then look at what is happening in your country, in your society, which is even more serious. And it's at a different level. Some places almost don't feel it. Other places feel it intensely. The entire country is being affected by this. Don't sleepwalk into fascism. Don't sleepwalk into a dictatorship. I keep saying this around here, the same shit happened in 1926. And we were stuck until 1974, count the decades, in that shit. Then we had almost an attempt to install a bloody Soviet system here, a near civil war, and when all that shit was over, we were 5 decades behind the rest of Europe. And to this day, Portugal is still living with the scars of those days. Scars that are in society, scars that are in the way the people think, scars that are in the infrastructures, scars that are in the economics of the country, in the politics, in the military, everywhere. The bloody scars are still here. Even if a lot of people, this is all good. No, no, no. Now we are the modern state and this and that. No, this shit is still here. And I was born after the bloody revolution. And it's still here. It was here when I was a kid, and it's still here. Is it getting better? Every fucking year it's getting better. Every year it's getting better. And people say, oh, this is worse and this is that. Look, you have to remember one thing. In Portugal, like in Germany, ironically, the national sport is talking shit about the government. People complain about everything. And sometimes they don't complain about the things they should complain. But that is another story, and it's not a part of this video. Now, I hope you all enjoy this. I hope if you are in the United States, I hope you are safe. I hope you have a roof over your head, that you have food, that you have someone to listen to you and to talk with, and keep on fighting. Don't give up. Don't give up. Especially if I'm going to be a bit sexist, but I will say this. If you are a father of a family, don't give up. Because it's not just your fate that is on the line. The fate of your kids, the fate of your family is in your hands. Okay? That is the duty of a man. A duty to be a man is not just having a beard and a penis. It's much more than that. To be a man, it means to be a man. Okay? You don't sit by while other people are being persecuted and ostracized. You don't sit by when a trans people or a gay person is being bullied or someone is trying to hurt them. You don't do that. That is not worthy of you. You say, stop that shit. This is what you say, and you teach your kids. Look, you don't need to like them, okay? My grandfather that was born in 1917, okay, he once told me about gay people this. I'll try to translate it because he said it in German, for God's sake. But you have no business in what gay people do. If they respect you and you respect them, it's none of your business. Do you understand this? It's none of your fucking business. It's none of your fucking business if someone is a Satan worshipper. It's none of your fucking business if someone is gay or trans. The only duty you have for that person is this. They respect you, you respect them. You don't want to hang around with them, don't hang around with them. But you don't persecute people. You don't hurt people. Trans people, gay people, devil worshippers, they are people. They are not fucking aliens. Sorry for the extremes and the words, but I think you need to listen to this. When you talk about a group of people, you are talking about people. Does immigration needs to be controlled? Yes, it does. Yes, I have said it often. I will say it again. Does corruption need to be controlled? Hell yes. Does the state needs to work in a more effective way? Yes, it does. All of that is absolutely correct. But who, who is telling you that they will solve everything and throwing, throwing boogeyman at you for you to hate instead of hating them? How much money, how much money do the oligarchs in the United States have? Who has all the cookies? Think about that before you start to trying to bully your gay or Mexican friend, neighbor. Sorry, they can be your friends too if you want. Think about that before you start to hate. Think about who is getting all of the advantages, and you don't trust them when they say they are going to make your life better. Are the groceries are the groceries more cheap? Are you paying less for energy? Are you paying less for gas? Are you paying less for all the things that you need? Are your kids safer? Are you safer? No, you're not. Well, sorry. Went into went into a rant in the end of the video. I was going to make a stream, but I thought it would be better just to make a video. Now, thank you very much for listening to me. Please stay safe, and I hope to see you all in the next one.